Good morning, everyone. It's 9 o'clock. Welcome to our friends in the room and those monitoring us online. We're pleased to start today's meeting on time, and with that, I'll ask the secretary to call the roll.
Commissioner Erdman,
Here.
Commissioner Boatright,
Here.
Commissioner Smith,
Here.
Commissioner Hagman,
Here.
Commissioner Slade,
Here.
Commissioner Baker.
Here.
All present. Quorum.
We have a quorum. Welcome, everyone. As we move forward today, I want to give the customary reminder for all that we are live streaming this meeting. Our open meetings for the public to view and listen to from their home or office. If you're in the room and speaking, please make sure you speak into the microphone and that the microphone is on so viewers may hear what's being said. For those watching online, we encourage you to subscribe to MoDOT's YouTube channel at MoDOT Video for access to these meetings and more. We're going to start the meeting today with a brief safety emphasis. Michael Todd, Training, Account, and Oversight Coordinator in Safety and Emergency Management, is going to share with us what we need to do if there were to be an emergency today.
That felt like a long title, but good morning. How's it going? Commissioners, Director Hassinger, my name is Michael Todd, again, Training Accountability Coordinator, Oversight Coordinator from Safety and Emergency Management. A few reminders this morning, afternoon. In the event of a fire, the Commission Director and Commission Secretary will exit the rear of the room and out the back door in the Conference Room 101 on the sidewalk, Jefferson Street. The audience will exit through the doors to the lobby at the back of the building and to the entrance by the loading dock and then proceed to the sidewalk on Jefferson Street. An alternate exit is down the stairs and out through the main entrance. Please walk up the hill on Jefferson Street until everyone is safely out of the back parking lot and safe distance from the building and emergency response vehicles. In case there's a small fire, there's a fire extinguisher in the rear of the conference room. I have Scott to retrieve it and use fire extinguisher if needed. In the event of severe weather, which hopefully today seems clear skies, everyone should head to the center stairwell and go down as far as possible. If we must evacuate this room, please take a moment to make note of who you're sitting with and who you're sitting next to. Make sure that upon arrival to the designated safe location that your neighbor has arrived. If there's a medical emergency, most people in the room, hopefully most people in the room are CPR certified. I have Almedo in the back. He'll call 911 and direct emergency responders to our location at 105 West Capitol Avenue. Then I have the Dream Team. So that's what I call Dream Team. I got Becky and Eric Schrader is going to volunteer to give CPR. And then there's an AED in the hallway on this floor. And I had Lester, but apparently he's not here. So I'm going to have Jessica. Oh, Lester, there you are. Okay, sorry. I'm going to have you get the AED in the event of emergency. All right. All right. That concludes my safety minute. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. At this time, I'm going to recognize Commissioner Smith for a special introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, it's great to see Dave Sylvester back in the room. Dave was a longtime employee at MoDOT. I don't know if any of you guys had the honor to ever work with him, but he was the Central District Engineer here. And when we got in trouble in Kansas City, he answered the call and went to Kansas City for 2 years, Dave? So great leader. We sure hated to see him retire, but it's great to see. I think I was walking down the hall and kind of turned to the left and saw him there, and he was talking to, who was he talking to? Yeah, he was talking to Brendan. He said, he's still here. So anyway, it's good to see you, Dave, and welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Dave. We too are shocked he's still here. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that, Greg. Next, I need to review a few procedural items. I want to remind everyone that we do have a public comment period, and we're pleased to offer this opportunity to every Missourian that wants to come before the commission to address an issue of concern. Any of you who would like to address the commission, we ask that you please sign up before 9:30 a.m. this morning. As a reminder, you'll have 5 minutes for public comment, 10 minutes per subject. Next, I would like to review the abstention process. There are commissioners that, because of land ownership or business interest or lawyers who may represent clients that have a relationship that could come before the commission, or have a potential or actual conflict of interest that would be considered and voted upon. A commissioner will indicate if he or she chooses to abstain from voting or to recuse him or herself from participating in discussion of an agenda item. If the agenda item is divisible by contract, call, project, or the like, a commissioner may specify that particular matter and still vote on the remainder of the agenda. This information is provided to the commission secretary by letter in advance. Commission secretary will duly indicate the abstention or recusal accordingly in the minutes. Madam Secretary, have the necessary letters been prepared? Thank you. First item of business on the agenda is consideration of the minutes for the regular meeting of March 4th, 2026, and the special meeting of March 3rd, 2026. Are there any additions, corrections, or changes to those minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the minutes.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? The minutes are approved as presented. The next business item is a consideration of items on the consent agenda. Does anyone have need to remove any item on the consent agenda for discussion later or to abstain? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All those in favor of the motion to approve the consent agenda will say aye. Are there any opposed? Hearing none, the motion to approve the consent agenda is approved. The next order of business is to receive committee and board reports. I'll recognize at this time Commissioner Boatwright on behalf of the Audit Committee.
Commissioner Slade.
Oh, Commissioners. Okay, Commissioner Slade. Sorry, got that
Yeah, I'll
wrong.
take it. If he doesn't want it, I'll take it.
Okay.
No, there's no report this month. The next audit committee meeting will be in June of 2026.
All commissioners are members of the Legislative Committee. This one will be your turn. Legislative Committee, and the Commission's chair and vice chair serve as co-chairs of the Legislative Committee. Commissioner Boatwright will give the Legislative Committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm pleased to report House Bill 2014, the supplemental budget, passed and was signed by the governor on March 11th. In this bill, the commission had requested $643 million to be included, which was pulled out in the last session for the 2026 funding. We have an action item later today to amend the budget to incorporate these funds. Next item I want to mention is the utility bills, HB 2155, HB 2429, and SB 1065. This would require the Department of Transportation to reimburse 9 regulated utility providers, including telecommunications, internet, cable providers, for relocations due to road maintenance, construction, and other right-of-way work activity. And the thing I want to say on this is, you know, we are 48th in the nation on funding, and we have the 7th largest highway system. And what this essentially would do is chip away about $50 million a year out of the department's budget to reimburse on right-of-way that these lines are being put in at no cost. So this one to me is a big, really big issue, and one that we need to pay a lot of attention to. $50 million statewide is a lot of funding that goes towards the capital program to get work done and on operations as well. So keep this one on the radar. This certainly does not need to pass and would chip away at the ability of the department to do work on the ground. So we're definitely watching this bill, these bills as they progress. Next one is Senate Bill 1408, sponsored by Senator Jamie Berger. This would raise the maximum speed limit on rural interstate highways from 70 to 75. The bill crossed chambers and was heard in the House Transportation Committee last week. At that meeting, Director Hassinger testified on the proposal, sharing the department's estimated safety impacts on the 5 mile an hour increase. Next items are House Bills 2069 and 2208, sponsored by Brandon Phelps of Warrensburg. This cross chambers and is scheduled to be heard in the Senate's Transportation Committee later this morning. This legislation would establish a framework administered by the Department of Public Safety for operation of autonomous motor vehicles in Missouri. The House added an amendment prohibiting the use of AV technology in commercial motor vehicles. Next item at the state level is House Bill 1740, sponsored by Rep. Dave Griffith. Jefferson City would increase penalties for DWI offenses and enact an all-offender ignition interlock requirement for drivers with blood alcohol content above 0.15. This is known as Melena's Law, named for Rep. Griffith's friend and constituent, Melena Walcom. The bill received broad bipartisan support in the House and now moves to the Senate. Rep. Griffith noted that conversations on this issue will continue and encourage future lawmakers to consider lowering the 0.15 threshold to better protect Missourians. At the federal level, I think most people in the room have heard that Chairman Sam Graves has announced that he will not seek re-election. And let me say, Chairman Graves has been an outstanding advocate for transportation in Missouri and on many other topics. He is going to be greatly missed at the federal level. He served right now 25 years at the end of his term, 26 years in the Missouri House or in the U.S. House of Representatives. He also served 8 years in the Missouri House. And my goodness, what a service as a Missourian to this state that he has provided, and he is going to be greatly, greatly missed. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll kick it back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I know everyone on the commission here echoes your comments about Congressman Graves. I don't know of a longer serving, more dedicated public servant than Sam Graves has been.
That's absolutely correct.
And he has our gratitude. Commissioner Smith serves as president of MTFC, and myself, Commissioner Baker, are board members. Commissioner Smith will provide the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is no report this month. The next MTFC meeting will be May 6th. That concludes my report.
Well, thank you for your thoroughness. Commissioners Hegeman and I serve on the, and Boatwright serve on the Emperor's Board. Today, Commissioner Hegeman will provide the report.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, there is no report for this month. Our next scheduled meeting for the Emperor's Board is April 17th, if needed. Otherwise, we will meet again in June 25th. So that nothing more to report there, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. Good work. Commissioner Boatwright will give the Missouri Coalition for Roadway Safety Executive Committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As of April the 1st, traffic fatalities in Missouri were down 16% compared to this time last year. As a reminder, Missouri has an opportunity to have 4 years in a row of declining traffic fatalities, something that has not happened in the state since 2011. We're happy to be off to a good start, but we know the margins will get slimmer as the year progresses. So we need everybody to stay focused and do what they can to keep our highways safe. Buckle up and phone down. As part of that effort, we'll be kicking off Work Zone Awareness Week later this month with a media event planned on April the 20th in Kansas City along many of our highway and safety construction industry partners. The message will be simple. We're asking all drivers to work with us to keep Missouri work zones safe. Later in today's meeting, we'll have a presentation on what the department is doing to improve work zone safety in Missouri. On April the 28th, the coalition will be partnering with AAA and other safety advocates to continue raising awareness of distracted driving. The annual Distracted Driving Awareness Day will take place at the Capitol Rotunda at 10 a.m. This will be a great opportunity to remind Missourians about the state's hands-free law and promote simple strategies like buckle up, phone down that everybody can take to make a difference. And with that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dustin. The next item on the agenda is a non-action item, and it is the director's report. Ed, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Hey, I've got some
great news to share with you today, quite a bit actually, so bear with me here. So last week, we gathered with local leaders and our contracting partners to officially break ground on the Improve I-70 project from Boonville to Roachport. This marks the fourth I-70 project that actually will go under construction. You're going to hear later from our program director, but just another great event with key stakeholders in the area. And I just wanted to share with you some video of the event and some of the comments that were made.
It's really my honor to really celebrate another milestone. We just keep knocking these things off, right? Milestone after milestone, project after project. But I do want to take a minute to recognize this would not be possible without our General Assembly and now two governors that have supported the effort, because you got to have the resources to do this good work. And so thank you again to our General Assembly and our political leadership in the state for putting those resources in place. That was truly visionary.
As someone from who was raised in Missouri, I know firsthand the importance of I-70 and how essential it is to not only our local area, but to the state and to the nation. Before serving as a legislator, I had the honor of serving on the Columbia Fire Department. And that job regularly took me onto I-70 and my crew onto I-70. And listen, of all of the things that we do in emergency services, the thing we dreaded the most was having to go out on that interstate and do our job. It is by far the most dangerous and chaotic. I would much rather run into a burning building than to step foot on that interstate during an emergency situation. When they came forward with this and MoDOT presented it, I saw on the major plan that our section was going to be last. And I thought, oh man, I can see it now. We're going to run out of money. We're going to be left hanging here with just 2 lanes going both directions. It was really, really fantastic to be standing here right now, getting this kicked off, knowing that we're a little ahead, in my mind, a little ahead of schedule and on the right track.
You'll hear a lot of statistics, and you can go on MoDOT's website and see statistics about I-70. But I'm going to tell you a little story about I-70, a story that would not have been written had this interstate not been here. Pilot Grove's a little town off the interstate, about 7-10 miles. When I was growing up, the population sign was 781. Back when Ed was talking about the interstate coming through about 70 years ago, Pilot Grove High School had a carpentry class. And it just timed out fantastic, because I don't think there's any doubt Columbia would not have grown near as much as it has without I-70. So it gave an opportunity for these graduates from that carpentry class in Pilot Grove to get a job, but not only get a job, but make a career.
On behalf of the city, I would just say that I'm proud that I get to mark the beginning of this historic project. This investment in infrastructure will help ensure continued growth, not only for our city, but also for the region as a whole. This expansion will enhance safety, access, and overall connectivity for our residents and all of our visitors. I-70 improvements are vital to our community, and we welcome the opportunity that this project brings.
The men and women you'll see working on this 13-mile stretch of the interstate are members of this community, and many of them live along the I-70 corridor and understand firsthand how important this interstate is to our communities. To keep everyone moving safely, we ask the traveling public to work with us whenever we are causing impact. Please follow the posted speed limits. Please eliminate distractions behind the wheel. Please be patient. The safety of our crews, your fellow motorists, and you depend on it. Thank you all very much.
And there it is. We broke ground. So we're actually, you can see work going on the interstate right now as we speak. It was a great event, but I want to reinforce, this program is truly moving at an unprecedented pace. This is 4 under construction, 5 under contract, and you're just going to see that continue. over the next few years. So, the thing we hear most is now that you got it under construction, hurry up and get it done.
Yeah.
Right. So
Absolutely.
we're working. That's what we're working to do. But it does mean that we're going to have a lot of work under contract and under construction at the same time. And I can't stress enough, and this is work zone awareness, our work zone awareness meeting and work zone awareness week. The traveling public needs to be safe when they travel through these work zones. That means obeying the speed limit. We are just seeing so many people driving way too fast in work zones. So we need them to obey the speed limit, stay off their phones, and pay attention to what they're doing. But great event. Another big milestone that may go a little bit unnoticed because it's a little off the beaten path, but our Don Welge Memorial Bridge project in Chester. We have great project news. So we're getting pretty dang close. But our contractor, Ames Construction, hoisted the final pieces of the bridge's structural steel into place last month, connecting the two halves. So now we have a bridge that actually connects across the river between Missouri and Illinois. And if you haven't been out there, it is a pretty incredible sight. This is a big milestone. Cable-stayed bridge, 2,500 feet long. This is no small task that these people have taken on. So now we're working hard to get all the concrete poured and the pavement in place. And we're on track that we're going to open this bridge this summer.
It's exciting.
This summer. Yeah.
Very exciting.
So we are really thrilled with that, that milestone, and it's right on track. So our team and the Ames team have really just done a phenomenal job. Pretty exciting. And then also last month, we had a lot of projects that were recognized at the annual ACEC Awards ceremony. And this is our consulting engineer partners, but they do an event. And so I had the honor of getting to present the awards that we were the owner of. There were many awards from many engineering companies around the state, but the ones that were MoDOT related, I just want to go through the list really quickly because it's a fairly long list. MoDOT was a winner in many categories. So our first was the I-70 NEPA reevaluation effort was recognized with an honor award in the studies, research, and consulting engineering category. And our consultant on that was CDM Smith. In that same category, our Forward 44 Purpose and Needs study also earned an honor award with our partners Garver and HG Consult. And then we had 3 projects receive honor awards in the transportation category. The first one was our project to replace a really complex water crossing down on Route 86 in Table Rock Lake. Bridge built in 100 feet of water. So not any small task there. We worked with our partners Burns and McDonnell and Crawford Murphy Tilley to deliver that 1,800-foot bridge and all the surrounding benefits to that community. We've discussed about the hundreds of thousands of signs on Missouri's system. I know Commissioner Hegeman is always interested in that, but our St. Louis district worked with Civil Design, Inc. to tackle that challenge, and they put forward a plan to inspect nearly 1,700 structural and overhead signs and help streamline our reporting process so that we can go about the process of making sure we have a plan to have those replaced in a timely manner. And then if we go down to Christian County, our partners at Olson earned a recognition award for delivering the state's first continuous green T and continuous flow intersection design. And that was part of our 160 at Route AA and CC intersection improvement. That's a pretty innovative solution they came up with there. And then I got a couple more that were recognized with grant awards. You've heard a lot about Buck O'Neill, the design build project. That was awarded with a grand award. And, we've seen a lot of awards for that project, but this is another testament to the great job that HNTB did as the design partner on that design build project. And then lastly, we had another MoDOT project earn a grant award, and it was in the special project category with our partners at SCI Engineering. We had a big landslide happen on Route W in Jefferson County, and we worked together with SCI to quickly repair that work and get the road back open. So I think it just kind of shows you the talent that we have both in the MoDOT team and our consulting partners to get stuff done. When I was in the room with all of those people, the engineering talent in the state of Missouri, you look at the room and you say, wow, there's a lot of talent here. A lot of really committed people that are really doing great work. So congratulations to our partners and our MoDOT team members for all that well-deserved recognition. And then kind of on the heels of that, I wanted to kind of give you a quick recap. There's an organization called TEAM, which is the Transportation Engineers of Missouri. Last month, I had the privilege to join many of our partners and hundreds of engineers across the state for the annual conference. And it's always a great event. It's where people share innovations. We talk about safety and innovation, new technology, project delivery techniques. And a lot of the MoDOT team is involved in this organization. Many of them presented and shared their insights and updates on best practices and projects that are going on across the state. We covered topics like road and bridge design, the I-70 update, multimodal plans, partnership, corridor safety improvements, and many other things. There were literally hundreds, I don't know, maybe not quite hundreds, but maybe close to 100 breakout sessions during the 3-day event. But I will tell you, the highlight of the event was the keynote speaker on the first day. And that was our vice chairman, Chairman Boatwright, that talked about his insights on building trust to build investments. And his presentation was very well received. I think he challenged maybe us a little bit, didn't you? Everybody. He challenged everybody. So it was 3 days packed with great opportunities to engage and get educated. And I think it's just another testament to the talent that's in this state and the work we do to collaborate with everybody. And I really wanted to thank our team governing board. This is a group of people from industry and from MoDOT that work together to put this event on every year. And it is no small task. So the team that put it together, thank you. Fabulous job on that. And then a lot of events this month. I don't know, it was just one of those busy months. But here at MoDOT, I wanted to share just a brief recap of a powerful event our team held last month. March is Women's History Month. Our employee engagement team put together a panel of some of our incredible women in leadership positions across the department. And they represented everything from maintenance, highway safety, information systems, engineering. And they shared their experience and insights and advice on navigating this industry, which is historically male dominated. And I just was so proud of seeing that group up there talking about what they do. I'm thankful for these women stepping forward and sharing their experience, but really more so every day, the leadership that they show and motivate people around them. So it was really a great event, and we have some world-class folks here at MoDOT. And they showed it on that event during Women's History Month. So I'm very thankful to be able to work alongside them. And Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Very good. Are there any questions or comments on the director's report today?
Just a comment, Mr. Chairman. Ed, thanks for that terrific report. Lots of highlights that you put in there, all the way from getting the work done on the Improve I-70 project, which is astonishing how well that is continuing to go. But to have MoDOT employees in partnership with our contractors in the private sector being recognized for their innovation, collaboration. It's a celebration, and congrats to everyone involved, and may that continue. Appreciate the great report.
Thank you. I just echo, I drive from Kansas City to Higginsville every week to see my mom and dad. They're in a nursing facility in Higginsville. And I recall in September, we broke ground on that segment of I-70, and by December, I was driving on new concrete. I mean, that's just unimaginable. The speed with which this project is being delivered. And when you think about the savings from inflation, which is undoubtedly our biggest enemy, we really have to be thankful for the value that's been delivered. These design build programs and others are delivering tremendous value, time value to the department and to the people of Missouri. If there are no other comments, thank you, Ed. Appreciate the work you and your team are doing. Next is an action item. We will consider bids for transportation improvements. Sarah Kleinschmidt will present the bids. Sarah.
Chairman Erdman, Commissioners, Director Hassinger, good morning. For our March 20th, 2026 bid opening, MoDOT received 62 bids on 23 calls. We recommend the following to you today. To award all calls to the lowest responsive bidder, except for calls C08 in the Kansas City District. We recommend rejection of this call due to excessive bids per section 102.15A of the Missouri Standard Specifications for Highway Construction. Call Z07 received no bids. The City of Jackson received 3 bids on March 17th, 2026 for Route 61 lighting. We recommend the Commission concur with the city's award of this project to the lowest responsive bidder. Pemiscot County also received 3 bids on February 18, 2026 for the Route 84 bridge replacement. We recommend the Commission concur with the county's award for this project to the lowest responsive bidder. The City of Manchester received 2 bids on ADA improvements on Route 100 from Baxter Road to Route 141. We recommend the Commission concur with the city's award for the project to the lowest responsive bidder. The Commission acted on Route 340 roadway improvements led by the City of Olivet at the February 4th, 2026 meeting. Though the amount of the award was incorrect due to a tabulation error, the correct award amount has been updated. We recommend the Commission ratify the new award of the ratified award of the corrected amount. These are our recommendations to you today. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Sarah. Any questions or comments on any? I want to, in Kansas City, probably the one on today's list that's of most interest is the replacement of the 169 bridge over the railroad north of downtown airport. I certainly get asked about that. I know Craig does. And just for my friends who might be listening in from Western Missouri and Kansas City, this project is being funded today. Coming from the rail industry, I feel some opportunity to observe this. That bridge takes the highway over several rail tracks that are the entry and exit of Murray Yard, Railroad Yard, there in North Kansas City. And because it goes over a very active track, we have to coordinate with the railroad to do work there. And this coordination is very valuable, but it does slow the project down. And for those of my fellow citizens in Kansas City who wonder why this project might take so long, it really isn't a highway issue. It's an issue coordinating with the railroad underneath. Obviously, the railroad's nervous anytime they're moving a train through that opening and there's work going on above. So for those of you who might be in Kansas City wondering why this has taken so long, that's a major explanation for it. Coming from the rail industry, I feel qualified to comment on that. And then also I want to say the department is doing excellent work. I drove through there just Sunday, and the department's doing great work in doing the temporary bidirectional alignment that's going to take place there. That'll be important during the World Cup because that's a transit route to and from the airport. I think most of my fellow citizens have grown accustomed to not using that route for their commute and hope to encourage that going forward. But a lot going on at that particular location. It wasn't anything of our doing. And I think we're moving as quickly as we can on it. I'm glad we were able to get a bid, and today we'll fund that very important project in Kansas City.
Thank you for sharing that.
Greg, anything you want to add?
No, just appreciate that, Greg, this Greg or this Greg?
Either one.
Well, this Greg's done a good job.
The guy with 3Gs.
That's okay. He's done a very good job. Yes, I've had many calls on it, just like you.
All right,
So
this is a very unfortunate failure at a time when we really didn't need it.
yeah, we're 60,
And the
70
department has
days.
moved quickly to do the best we can to accommodate that bi-directional. I appreciate you and your team doing that. But I just want the Kansas Cityans to know that the slowness of this really has more to do with coordinating with the railroad than it does with anything we do. So, okay, well, we thank you very much for that. Ed, do you have any that you want to call out?
Well, I just call out once again, you're getting ready to award another $90+ million month. And that used to be extremely rare. Now it seems pretty commonplace, but yeah, we're knocking it out. So we'll keep going.
Very good. If there are no additional comments or questions, do we have a motion and a second to approve this item?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion on any of them? Hearing none, all those in favor would say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries and the bid recommendations are approved. Thank you, Sarah. And do you have a budget update for us?
Yes, I do. Today's awards are for a total of $94.3 million, which is $24.4 million over budget. This is based on all projects, including contingencies. Today's awards result in a state fiscal year 2026 award total to date of $1.50 billion, which is a savings of 9%, or about $148 million. This is under $148 million under budget on $1.64 billion worth of work. This again is based on all projects, including contingencies. This includes emergency, special lettings, projects let by others, and design build projects awarded this fiscal year.
Okay, thank you. There has been some commentary recently about this part of your presentation that I just want to make a comment about. Some months we're blessed when she reports that we've saved some money, and other months when she has to report that it's gone over budget. And every month it can vary. That is why the department maintains a fund balance to make sure at the end of the year we can cover what we've obligated ourselves, in spite of the fact that on some months it's good news and on some months it's bad news. And at the end of the year, there's a reconciliation. And on the good years, we come out a little ahead. Bad years, maybe a little behind. This appears to be kind of a neutral year. But the thing I want to just observe for those who have inquired with me recently about this, on the years where we have a positive balance, that money gets redirected back to the districts and it goes right back into projects. And it's important for the public to know and for interested stakeholders to know that any savings that our efficiencies produce go right back into projects, and they're prioritized by the districts through our nationally recognized planning process. So that money is put right back to work. So for those who are interested in that topic, I wanted to take a moment and just make that observation given the report that you gave today. Ed, do you have anything you want to add to that?
I think you clarified that.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that extra time. Thank you for report. If there are no other questions, we appreciate your good work and thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is a non-action item. John Nelson, State Highway Safety and Traffic Engineer, Alex Wassman, Traffic Liaison Engineer, will present an update on our work zone awareness. John and Alex, floor is yours.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners, Director Hassinger. My name is John Nelson. I'm the State Highway Safety and Traffic Engineer for MoDOT. And it's a real pleasure to be here today to raise awareness for work zones and to share what it is the department's doing to ensure that our work zones are safe for everyone. We're really grateful for the Commission's ongoing support of this endeavor. We especially appreciate the opportunity to come and provide an update on work zone safety each and every spring. I am joined by Alex Wassman this morning, one of our traffic liaison engineers. In just a little bit, Alex will provide an update on some of the strategies MoDOT has implemented, such as maybe the truck you saw out in the parking lot, as well as some of the other innovative solutions that we continue to explore. But before he does that, I want to just give a little bit of information about the state of safety in Missouri, and then more specifically, what it is that's occurring in our work zones. I'd like to start by sharing some good news, and I know we've shared this before, but overall traffic fatalities in Missouri have decreased each of the last 3 years. So we had a 5% reduction last year, a 4% reduction in 2024, and a 6% reduction in 2023. And if you do the math, cumulatively, that adds up to more than 300 lives that have been saved over the past 3 years combined. So we're making progress, and in 2026, as you heard in the report earlier, we have an opportunity to do something that hasn't been done in 15 years, and that's have 4 years in a row of traffic fatality declines. We are off to a pretty good start this year. We're down about 15% so far compared to this same time last year. Now, this chart, it shows the state's traffic fatalities over the past 5 years on a monthly basis. And what it allows us to do is to see how different months compare from year to year. Also lets us see which months tend to have the most fatalities. For today's purposes, there's really just one trend I want to point out on this chart. And when we look at the progress that's been made over the past several years, you'll see that most of the gains have come between April 1st and September 30th. Now, that's not necessarily a direct reflection of work zone crashes, but this is, of course, the time of year when we have the most work zones active on the system. So I think it's notable that progress is being made during those critical months. Now, when it comes to work zones specifically, there are 3 numbers I'd like to share with everyone today. 3 numbers for you to remember, hopefully 3 numbers that help tell the story of work zone safety in our state. The first number is 1,000. And just as was the case last year during this year's peak construction season, we anticipate more than 1,000 work zones being active on any given day in the state of Missouri. So between our own maintenance crews and our partners in the construction industry, historic levels of work will continue happening across the state in every community. In short, I mean, work zones will be everywhere. You won't be able to avoid them. And I know that's not news that a lot of people want to hear. I get that. I understand that. Nobody wants to encounter a work zone when they're trying to get somewhere. They can be inconvenient. They can be frustrating. Sometimes they may add a little bit of time to our trip. But the fact is, these work zones, they're a necessary component of having a transportation system that is safe, reliable, and efficient. It's work that has to be done in order to keep our state moving forward. And when it is complete, we're all going to reap the benefits. In the meantime, with the amount of work that's taking place, it's an imperative as ever that we do whatever we must to keep our work safe. And so that starts with our own team and our partners in the construction industry, setting up work zones that are visible and easy to navigate. But that responsibility, it extends to every single driver, young and old, who travels through these work zones. And if I can be frank for just a moment, the behaviors that we witness sometimes in these work zones are far too often reckless, irresponsible, or downright atrocious. So the second number I want to give you helps illustrate that fact, and that number is 50. That's the number of times in 2025, as you'll see in these 4 videos here, that a MoDOT protective vehicle was struck by another driver. Now, these protective vehicles, their sole purpose is to shield a highway worker from an errant, out-of-control vehicle. And the fact that we even have to have such vehicles is telling enough, much more the frequency with which they are being struck. And this number 50, that doesn't include the hundreds, if not thousands, of near misses that occur just a few feet away from a highway worker. Someone simply doing his or her job to make our lives a little bit better, a person simply wanting to get home to their family at the end of the day. Unfortunately, protective vehicles and construction barrier alone cannot prevent all work zone injuries. And the last number I want to share with you this morning is 24. So last year, 24 people were killed in a Missouri work zone crash, and another 113 were seriously hurt. And while we've made progress as a state in reducing traffic fatalities overall, we've got to do a better job when it comes to work zone safety. Now, as I mentioned, Alex is going to share some of the strategies that the department is deploying to do this, but the most effective strategies, they're not complicated or expensive. So year after year, we see the same behaviors leading to these crashes in our work zones. We see people driving too fast, too aggressively, or too distracted. About half of the work zone crashes overall that we saw last year involved an aggressive driver, and nearly one half, 11 of those 24 fatalities involved a distracted driver. The remedies for these concerns, they're simple. They're everyday things we can all do to keep our work zone safe. Things like putting the phone down, paying attention whenever we see the orange signs or the flashing lights. Things like slowing down and giving other vehicles room to operate when we encounter narrow lanes, or things like being patient and taking turns when there are merge points or lane closures. And this is why the department will continue to raise awareness and ask all Missourians to work with us in making our highways and our work zones safer. Yes, we're going to continue exploring roadway strategies to protect highway workers as much as we can, but we also need the help of every single driver in order to succeed. So whenever we have the opportunity, we're going to continue to share the messages to buckle up, phone down, slow down, and drive sober. One such campaign that I'm excited to announce today is called Work Zone Safe. Work Zone Safe is a program that actually began in Oklahoma with a specific goal to educate teen drivers on what it is they should expect and how it is they can safely traverse through work zones. It's an online course. It takes less than an hour. I think it takes about 45 minutes to complete, and it's something that teens can take on their own time at home, or a teacher could do in the classroom setting. And it's been so successful in the state of Oklahoma that the state of Oklahoma now requires all new drivers to complete this online work zone safety course before they can apply for their license. I'm happy to share that 2 weeks ago in Columbia, we launched the Missouri version of Work Zone Safe. And while I want to be clear, it's not a required course in Missouri, we are excited to have a new work zone specific tool that was created specifically for our youngest drivers. So that course is live now. Anyone can go out to workzonesafe.com and take it. And I'd like to play this brief video for just a little bit more information about the course.
The mission of Work Zone Safe is to ensure that every new teen driver, before they get those keys placed in their hand, knows that there's a face and family behind every flag, cone, and flashing light.
You feel so much more confident and ready to go through one, and you have the knowledge to actually navigate a work zone where maybe you didn't learn that in your state driver's course.
Go to workzonesafe.com, click on the free Missouri Work Zone Safe course, and become a safe, confident driver in the work zone.
And with that, I'm going to invite Alex up to share a little bit more about the strategies that we've been implementing.
Thanks, John. So now that John's covered some of the statistics and issues driving work zone safety, I will cover some of the solutions that MoDOT has implemented to protect roadway workers and motorists. Starting with policy, MoDOT incorporated the most recent edition of the FHWA manual on uniform traffic control devices, also known as the MHTC, into our electronic policy guide. The process required review of around 2,500 pages of MoDOT and federal policy over the course of 2 years, in order to identify, explain, and resolve any differences and conflicts between the two policies, and to achieve final approval from FHWA. At the same time that we were doing these EPG updates, MoDOT made further policy updates to be in compliance with the FHWA Work Zone Safety and Mobility Policy. Now, what this policy contained in federal regulations primarily deals with what is known as positive protection for workers. What that means is basically where and when to use a physical separator like concrete barrier or a crash attenuator to protect workers. Both of these updates went into effect in mid-January and included many provisions to improve worker safety. In addition to policy, MoDOT strives to improve equipment, especially when the equipment helps to reduce exposure to risk by removing workers from the roadway and reducing the time needed to finish the work. So the pavement marking truck with the robotic arm shown in the video and parked out back currently does just that. This truck allows workers to put down intersection markings from the safety of a truck cab rather than having to apply them by hand. The operator parks the vehicle and uses a touchscreen like the one on the left side to select the type of marking to put down, line it up, and start that process. Once it is set, the arm moves on its own using cameras and sensor arrays for guidance. The robotic arm lays down the marking in multiple passes while keeping the arm confined within a single lane to keep it out of traffic at all times. After some successful testing with the demo truck last summer, the St. Louis and Kansas City districts both have purchased trucks for use this fiscal year. And at least 2 other districts are also investigating getting their own trucks. So the next 3 slides are all kind of grouped together. They're all about speed management strategies and work zones, with increasing levels of cost and effort required to implement. So first up, speed reduction trailers are a common low-cost solution that have shown moderate results of speed reduction in the single digits. You see about 2 to 8 miles per hour there. However, based on a study conducted by the University of Missouri in active I-70 work zones last year, almost 6 in 10 vehicles on the roadway exceeded the speed limit by 10 or more miles per hour. With speeds that far over the work zone speed limit, the reduction provided by speed trailers may not be enough on its own. So that brings us to the next solution, work zone enforcement via contract with law enforcement agencies. Each year, the Highway Safety Department makes funds available to the districts for police presence and enforcement on construction projects. For fiscal year 2026, we programmed around $3 million for use, which is a pretty large increase over the previous year's $2.2 million. This increase is largely due to anticipated usage on the I-70 projects, but the money is available to all the districts. Missouri has also investigated many innovative approaches from other states to address the problem of speeding within the work zones. One of those solutions, which is not currently in use in Missouri, but is used in other states, is speed safety cameras. While these can be used on a standalone automated basis, an interesting approach used in states like Arkansas is to utilize them as a tool to enhance traditional enforcement. So these cameras are monitored by officers in their vehicle beyond the end of the work zone to identify vehicles speeding through work zones. The officers exercise their usual discretion on when to make a stop and whether to issue a citation or not. This is similar to the concept used for the aerial enforcement, or when one vehicle operates radar while a second vehicle makes the stops. The speed safety cameras allow the officers to more effectively and safely police work zones, as they can wait at the end of the work zone past the lane closures where they may stop drivers safely on the shoulder. Again, this is not currently being used in Missouri, but I wanted to mention that we gathered information about it through peer exchanges with other states, and it's a good example of some things that other states have done that Missouri might be able to do in the future. Driver information is another important aspect of operating work zone. For major projects, MoDOT's been reaching out to various mapping and navigation providers to make sure they are aware of changes to roadway alignment before they happen. So we're out there targeting familiar navigation providers like Google, TomTom, Apple, but also companies that you may be less familiar with, like OpenStreetMap and Here. These companies provide the base maps for commercial and OEM auto manufacturer navigation systems. Also on this page, we have the travel time advisory systems that provide valuable information to the public. When drivers know how long to expect their trip to take, it can help reduce frustration and aggression levels and help them make better route choices. We also have construction vehicle warning systems. These are a valuable addition to projects where slow-moving construction vehicles need to frequently enter high-speed roadways. So as the construction vehicle approaches the roadway, a sensor detects its presence and triggers flashing warning signs or a changeable message sign to alert the drivers of a vehicle about ready to merge into the roadway. Another real-time messaging strategy is the queue warning system. Temporary speed sensors are set up along the roadway, particularly focused on known slowdown points. When slow or stop traffic occurs, the messages are sent to changeable message signs at the beginning of the work zone to warn motorists. These signs may convey information such as the length and duration of the delay, and also if the vehicles must be prepared to stop. So one final item I would like to share is that National Work Zone Awareness Week is April 20th to 24th this year. As usual, MoDOT will hold a large kickoff event as well as some local kickoff events during this week. I also wanted to mention that we've partnered with the Missouri LTAP program and FHWA on a once-a-week webinar series lasting the entire month that is available for sign up to the public. Now to close things out, we would once again like to share the Work Zone PSA that was created last year.
We don't speed through your workplace.
Please don't speed through ours.
So this will be the second year of us running this one. We usually try to get 2 years out of them to be good stewards of money and also turn them over often enough that the public doesn't get used to them and still catches their eye. So that's it for us. I'd like to thank the commission for allowing John and I the opportunity to present on this vitally important topic and for continuing to take an interest in work zone safety. We can take any questions at this time if anybody has some.
Okay, well, thank you, John, Alex, both of you. Those videos always get my attention. They're haunting almost. With that, Commissioner
Mr.
Smith.
Chairman, yeah, I'd just like to thank John and Alex for your presentation today. You know, it's clear that we're doing everything that we can, you know, to make it safe with this truck out here. And your message is out there. We've just got to keep pounding it and get these people to slow down. It's going to take all of us, you know. It's team effort, and there's no I in team. So we just got to keep pounding the message. And as Chairman said, I love that one where they're going through the office like that. But anyway, thank you guys for your hard work on it. We appreciate it.
Other questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, just a comment. It's very, very exciting to see the traffic fatality numbers coming down. I'm on the road a lot. I probably put between 50 and 60,000 miles on a vehicle a year.
What kind?
They're Ford. But if I look at the 4 years, 22 through 25, and just the observations that I have on the road, we have not seen an improvement on driver behavior, period. I think I would actually argue that driver behavior has probably gotten worse over that time period. I think the thing that's driving the decrease more than anything is the technology that's on the vehicles, which has come a long way. It's really tremendous, the technology that's out there. But if we're going to really get at this and really continue to see a decline, we're going to have to get serious as citizens, as drivers on the roadway, on making some effort to, when we're going through a work zone, to slow down, when we're driving, not to be distracted. And we've also got to teach our kids this too. Anybody that has young kids coming up, I love the team program. It's a great idea. We may ought to even, Commissioner Baker and I were talking about this yesterday, may ought to even target the younger kids because they are very, very impressionable and it sticks with them at a very young age. But I'd love the effort of Show Me Zero, get down to zero fatalities would be a wonderful thing. But on the driver behavior side, it's going to take each and every person in this room and each and every person that's on the roadways to just do the little things that will drive this number down, because I don't think that as a whole that's happening. And if we couple that with the technology that's out there on these vehicles and do those small things, we can really drop this number quickly. So that's my comment. Thanks.
Yeah, ditto. Any other comment? I was just going to say, every time I get on that work zone between Blue Springs and Higginsville, I park it at 55. I figure as chairman of the commission, probably not a real good idea for me to get a ticket in a work zone. And within minutes, I've got a truck behind me trying to shove me along. and I'm stubbornly stuck at 55. And the next thing you know, he's swerving to go around me in spite of the sign that says trucks stay in the right lane. It isn't just the truckers who are causing the problem, but they're certainly among them. And I don't know what could be done to work with trucking companies to make them communicate to their drivers. But in my experience between Blue Springs and Odessa, the trucks are a significant part. And in the last couple of weeks, I think there have been 2 big truck accidents in that stretch of the highway that required shutting down westbound I-70. I'd encourage you to think about what might be done to communicate with the trucking companies. You know, I know many of those are not even in Missouri, they're national, but if you could just get the truck drivers to behave a little better, that would go a long way.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think either one of those accidents was in the work zone. Were they?
They were approaching it.
Okay.
That both of them were just prior as you're coming into it,
Okay.
as people slow down. I think the second one was not related. It was a truck fire, but it doesn't change the behavior that you witness.
I shared that experience that happened to me a day or 2 ago with you all last night. I can't say it here, but one of the vehicle was passing me. So.
Mhm.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's Ed, if you have anything.
Couldn't echo what Vice Chairman said more. That's what we need to be doing.
All right, well, thank you. Next item is a non-action item. Eric Kapinski, the I-70 Project Director, will provide an improved I-70 report. Eric?
Mr. K.
Chairman Erdman, Commissioners, Director Hassinger, good morning. It may be difficult to believe, but we are a fourth of the way done with the calendar year. And for us on the I-70 team, that means we just got done with our winter break. So we're done with the slow season and we're ramping up to full speed. As we look at the upcoming calendar year for what remains, we're really excited for what's going to be done. One of the most unique things that we will be doing this year, though, is we're going to celebrate 70 years of 70. And it has been 70 years since we first started paving the Interstate 70. And here's a couple pictures from here, but this is the first known concrete or asphalt pavement that was placed in the entire interstate system in the country. And it was right here in Missouri, over on the St. Louis side. And our director has challenged us to recreate some of these pictures here with the ribbon cutting as we complete sections. And we've told him we need the classic cars, and we'll happy to dress up and wear the full gig from the early 50s and 60s. But a couple takeaways from the pictures here is, as you look in these pictures, this is the background of St. Charles in 5th Street. So those familiar with what happened over the last 70 years here, the economic growth, the viability of the local economy and the region here, we've installed hospitals, schools, convention centers, casinos, Bass Pro, you name it. It is there in the background of where this picture was taken. The other thing that I've been quick to tell our team is at one point when we opened this highway section up, the interstate, we decided it was a really good idea to separate eastbound and westbound I-70 with a 4-inch curb, where today we have 150,000 cars that travel through there. So as we look for how we're future-proofing I-70, we're going to do the best we can, but our department will be here for the next decades to come to adapt and to adjust with changes of transportation. But this will be a really cool thing that we do for our program, our team, our department, is really celebrate the last 70 years for how great I-70 has been in all of our interstates. As we look to today, as these interstates reach the end of their useful life, the funding for the interstate system has ventured or deviated from providing for all, and it's turned into those that invest in their system will reap the benefits, and those that don't are being left behind. So it's really important for our department, for our team, that we recognize the historic funding that was put in place almost 3 years ago by our General Assembly and our governor. Our department has continued to push that we will keep a close eye in Washington, D.C. and everywhere else to find a way to leverage these historic generational funds. And it was just a little over a month ago our department submitted a $25 million. So that was the max grant request, but we submitted that grant request where we said, let's leverage this historic funding from the General Assembly and let's go to DC and try to pull back money with this USDOT build grant application. If awarded, our request was really just twofold. We kept it simple and we said, one, we are funding about 98% of this grant request for what would replace the Blackwater and Lamine bridges. So these bridges are at the end of their useful life, and it'd be really great to get new structures as we add the third lane. And then just as importantly, we said, we're ready to deliver. So regardless if this is awarded or not, we will begin construction on this next summer. And there's no other state that is willing to go at our pace, our speed, to show DC on how we're ready to deliver and how we fund projects. Our department will continue to look at these opportunities to leverage our funds as we go forward to maximize this historic opportunity. Another key component that our team continues to do is we continue to have close communication. This involves the public, this involves our industry members, and this also involves our internal team. It is on average once a month we are going to the public with a formal public meeting somewhere in some capacity to keep them informed of updates to the project or roll out a new project on how this will benefit them and how they can navigate the area while we make these much needed improvements. And on a quarterly basis, we are reaching out to our industry partners with an industry meeting to involve them all. And almost on a daily basis, we are talking with somebody from the industry or somebody from the public that wants additional information. A little more on the communication, we're taking it a step further for upcoming closures. This summer, we are closing 7 overpasses that travel north-south over Interstate 70. And to each one of those, that's a really big deal to the local community. But we're having additional meetings for that. We're making flyers and going door to door to the local businesses. And we're having monthly check-ins with the first responders and local businesses and even the school bus routes that are impacted from our projects. We want to make sure that those in the know have firsthand access to us and information. The other thing that's pretty unique to our department, and we don't just do this on I-70 for all of our projects, our firsthand leaders are listed on our project website. And not only is there an email address, there's a phone number that gets you directly to that person. As we talk to other states, they think we're crazy that we put our personal or work phone numbers and email addresses out there. But these are the decision makers, and that accountability piece to the public, to the businesses, that's critical. So while it is a lot of time and effort, that's what's needed to really address concerns, help answer questions. And we've done that for I-70, and we do that for all of our projects. As we move forward with I-70, and again, we're about 3 years into this program, we can't lose sight of what our goals are. So we have these printed out in our offices, and we have a couple project offices around the state where these are on the actual wall. But these are what we will determine our success for internal success for how we spend this money of historic amount. And what's most important is the goal is to add the third lane across the state. By far, the number one goal is where we get to. As we start talking with a lot of the local businesses and community leaders, it quickly has turned into what's the greatest interchange? How can we connect the outer roads? How can we future-proof this? And there's a lot of other wants, but it's really great to see that everybody's really supportive of this program. Across the state, there's a lot of support for this, and there's been a lot of pent-up demand. So while we're really excited to deliver this, we don't want to lose sight of what our marching orders are for what we view success in the department. A couple little minor details that we've been trying to highlight is, in addition to getting the third lane, some of the little details are going to add up to be big game changers as you travel the state. And so I just want to point out 2 examples. And the first is, again, going back to those 7 overpasses that are going to be closed this summer as we remove the old bridge and rebuild it to modern standard. A lot of our bridges that travel over I-70 are not up to current standards with vertical clearance. And so this picture here shows you of one we completed last year where posted we have 15 feet 10 inches, and we were to build this back up to what our current industry or interstate standard is of 16 feet 6 inches. So that additional vertical clearance from the interstate to the overpass is great and will help our bridge department from having those hit more frequently. But we get as low as our vertical clearance. High Hill is our lowest one, and we're at about 14.5 feet. So having these oversized, over-dimensioned loads travel across I-70 is very difficult and very challenging. We're going to make this a lot better when we're done. Another little, seems like a nuance from the public side, but from the engineering perspective, the ability for us to improve our interstate entrance and exit ramps, especially the entrance ramps, are going to make a game changer for safety. The ability to get up to interstate speeds and to get over onto the third lane will be a game changer. So this picture doesn't really create the full story here, but as you start to drive, as we get more sections complete, the ability for you to speed up and get up to the interstate speed with extended acceleration lanes to the modern design standards is going to be critical. And in some areas, we're adding close to 2,000 feet to those acceleration lanes. So a couple little details that are going to be game changers as you start to see more and more segments complete. This has been our placemat that we've continued to update throughout the history of our program. We started with 6 projects, and based on industry feedback, we've adjusted as we move forward, both when we procure projects and how many we have. We feel confident that we are now locked in with our schedule. We're going to have 8 projects across the state, and we're going to have 1 statewide truck parking project that we move forward with. As we look at upcoming procurements, our team is happy to report that we will be complete with all of our procurement. So we will have all the projects awarded in the next 11 months. So by May of next year, we will have all 9 of the statewide projects under contract with your blessing and your award. But these are the 4 remaining projects we have. So we will be here at the commission meeting next month to award a statewide truck parking project that's very popular with the public and our trucking partners who we've worked closely with. And then we have 2 big design build projects and 1 bid build project. But in the next 13 months, our team's going to work tirelessly to award $1.3 billion. And we have a really great plan to deliver that. In addition to that, our team's working very closely with researchers in the state. So nationally, there's been a few really successful research programs. NCHRP, SHARP 2 are 2 of the more prevalent ones. But with the research programs and projects, the key takeaway from many of the state DOTs is we're not left with a 200-page research report. How do we go quickly implement that? Our department's taken a more unique approach or innovative approach where we're taking real-time challenges and problems on I-70 and many of our other projects around the state. And we're saying, let's go get local research universities, have them help solve these problems very quickly for us. And we're implementing these solutions real time. So nationally, we view our department as leaders in the research community. Our team's got just a really small part in that in helping provide these problems to Jen Harper and her team and saying, help us out here. And so some of these are just a couple of examples of what we're actively doing research projects on with our department and implementing along I-70. One of the other unique things that I have the opportunity to do is I have the great pleasure to talk with a lot of other states. And the first thing I do when we go talk with other state DOTs is what can we learn? And our executive team's doing that, but I'm solely focused on major corridor projects. What are they doing? How can we do it better? How can we do it faster? And so these are just a couple of the examples of where we've actually gone and visited with those states in person. And there's 3 big takeaways as we talk with many other states. The 3 primary questions they ask us is why and how are you going so fast? Why and how are you doing this internally with mostly the DOT staff? And then why is the communication to the public and industry, why are you placing such emphasis on that? And as we talk through it, some of these states get it and they understand the why and some don't. But those 3 key factors are the secret sauce of why I-70 is moving at such warp speed relative to some of the other states.
So why are we able to move so fast?
The key takeaway there is we've got some great leaders from our executive team that and you guys that provide that consistent guidance, but we have some really great industry partners too that really help put the pieces in play when we set the parameters up. And so if we set that up and get out of the way, they're able to deliver very effectively. But as we talk with those other states that I previously mentioned, it is very common. They're saying this should be a 30 to 40-year program. And us doing this so quickly is problematic. But again, as we talk through the inflation piece and just the public desire, there's no one from the public that's really telling us to slow down. They're saying, hurry up and get that third lane open, as the director previously mentioned.
My perception has been that our national leadership as a design build user is a major contributor to how quickly we're able to move forward.
Agreed. As I wrap up, I'll throw a couple fun facts out here as we really ramp up to full speed for this spring, summer, and fall. The fact that's not listed here, as John and Alex just mentioned, work zone safety. This spring and summer, every single day, every single night, our teams of contractor and MoDOT are going to have over 600 women and men going out there every day and working their butts off to keep those pavers moving. And so it's important for us, for the public, for everybody to do their part to keep the machines moving. So that's our ask. And we've really doubled down with outreach to Highway Patrol, the local police, and first responders to make sure we're geared up, ready to go for this construction season. But we do have an incredible amount of work planned for this year, and we're ready to deliver. Our contractors, our MoDOT team, we're ready to go. And we're excited for that. And then the most important thing from when we first were awarded this historic money is we announced that here's our budget, here's our schedule. We're throwing that out to the public. We're throwing that out there to the elected officials. And we have not deviated from that to date. And we don't plan on. So we are still on time and on budget. And I think it's really critical we don't lose sight of that. With that, I'll open up to any questions or comments.
Great job. Comment, Commissioner Sleddy?
Sure. First of all, thank you so much for your talent, your leadership, and that of the team and the partners that you're working with on this very, very important project. It is amazing, although I'm not surprised, but it is amazing. I'm not surprised because of the talent that's within the organization and the team that you're working with. But to be able to get so much done within such a short period of time so far has been incredible. And it's because of the leadership and the partnership and the great work and talent that's working on this project. We can't be more proud as an organization to be part of an organization overall that has the talent and the leadership that's doing something so wonderful for the entire state of Missouri that's going to last for decades and decades. So I just wanted to, and I know that there's an issue. There's been a, this is a temporary disruption to the traffic along I-70 in the state, but overall, it's gonna be a lasting positive for the state of Missouri overall, for industry, for traveling public, and for safety as well. So thank you and your team, and thanks for the presentation.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you. Other comments or questions? Ed, do you have anything you want to add?
Well, maybe I'll just add a little bit to what your question was, why so fast and how can we do that? First of all, money usually constrains speed. We don't have that constraint because the money is in place.
Yeah.
So they're not worried about, I got to match my project speed to my funding speed. That's number one. And that's credit to our political leadership. Second is the commission form of governance has allowed us to have the free rein to go do what we need to do. That should not be overlooked. The way that we're able to procure projects, put teams in place. And then the third thing was, I think, foresight on our program director to think about really carefully how this gets procured, talking with industry about that before we got rolling to kind of get all their feedback and put all the pieces together. And it's turned out that was really pivotal. So I think you put all those pieces together, and we've got, what'd you say, 600 or 700 people working every day, and probably twice that many that are involved in the supply chain and other things that are feeding this project. The economic benefit of this project will be immense after it's done. And it's really important as we're doing it right now. You can just see it, and it's only going to grow.
Yeah, the elected leadership of Missouri made a wise decision in taking the surplus that occurred after COVID and putting it into one-time infrastructure. And that makes quite a huge difference. So, any other thought or comment on this?
Just a comment. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The talk that I was able to give at the team's conference, I talked a lot about execution. Execution's the equalizer. I mean, when you can execute, it makes up tremendously on the funding that you have available. And this I-70 team has absolutely executed relentlessly on this project. I had 3 big takeaways at that meeting. Push boundaries. I think that this I-70 team is pushing boundaries as hard as they can push. Take risk. We don't live in a zero risk world. You have to take risk. You have to push boundaries. You have to manage the risk, but you can't let it cause paralysis. And so many times people get paralyzed by not being able to jump out there and take a risk. And then the last thing is think big. A century ago, we thought really big in this country, unbelievably big. Look at the stuff that we did during that time period. And we went through a long period where we were not thinking big. We were thinking really small. And it sounds like our other DOTs, with the feedback that you're getting, they're still thinking small. They're thinking 30 and 40 year projects, where in Missouri, we're thinking 5 and 6 year projects. So it's very exciting to see that those 3 points that were made, this I-70 team's doing all of it. Look at the success that we're having on the backside of it. And that's not just this I-70 team. This entire MoDOT team across the state does all of these things. And that is how we're the 47th, 48th in funding, which is horrible, but able to execute and get stuff done with the 7th largest system is an absolute game changer for the next generation, the generation after them. And it all started with people 100 years ago thinking way bigger than most people think today. And it's changed the game. So thank you and your team for what you're doing. It's exciting. And the result here in a few years is going to be, it's going to be a generational change for the state, and one that is really going to drive us into the future. So thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Next on the agenda is a non-action item. Darren Hamlick, the State Maintenance Director, will provide a maintenance operations update. Darren?
Yeah, thank you. Commission Chairman Director, I'm Darren Hamling, here to give a maintenance update. So I'll start with last winter, and I'm declaring winter's over, so hopefully I haven't just jinxed us. But we did have 7 statewide events. There were a lot of smaller events, but 7 that were statewide. Total cost, you can see there, was $37 million. That includes labor, equipment, and material. But really the big story was that huge storm we had in late January that lasted a full 10 days, start to finish. That amounted to almost 50% of our total cost. So I took that screenshot on the right. During the peak of that storm, we had every route covered with snow, and that's a rare event. Some areas got more than 12 inches. So our crews did a fantastic job clearing the roads, and overall, we came through that with flying colors. So I put this slide together just to show you how last winter compares to the statewide average. And you can see the differences there in cost, labor hours, salt used, miles driven. So really the positive there is just with a mild winter, that saves us time and money. And for us in maintenance, really the linchpin for us is time. So anything that we can do to save time, we can do other activities during the winter months. Some early preparation we did. This was back in October of last year. We met with SEMA, the Highway Patrol, our internal MoDOT staff, and we ran through some scenarios on these design build projects. So for example, if we were to have a crash in one of these chute areas where we have barrier walls on both sides of the road, how would we remove those barrier walls to gain access? How would we get emergency personnel in and out? How would we get tow trucks in and out? We also worked through in advance what our detour routes would be, how we would treat them. We increased our salt application rates in this scenario and also increased our dedicated trucks and drivers for key areas. And really bottom line here is this all translated well into how we actually responded last winter. And we had very few issues on these 3 routes. So overall, this pre-planning was a great success. So I mentioned this last May. I don't know if you remember this, but continuous improvement is something we're constantly striving for. After a big storm rolls through, we look back and say, you know, with hindsight being 2020, would we have done anything differently? What went well? What could go better? So one thing we did change going into last winter was we added our design build teams to our 24 and 48-hour calls so that if there's a lane closure, a ramp closure, traffic shift, everybody in the state on our team is going to be aware of it. We're constantly looking at our treatment strategies, which can vary from straight salt, pre-wetted salt, brine, some combination thereof. And that big storm I mentioned in January actually was mostly a plowing event. So there are events where it's better not to treat, at least initially. We're looking at application rates, which can be very small, like 50 pounds a lane mile, just a light treatment, all the way up to 600 pounds plus, depending on the situation. And, you know, timing, as they say, is everything. It's always better to be proactive and ahead of the curve rather than working behind the 8 ball. I do want to mention training because that's a success. That stat on the right is percent of employees trained for winter ops, which is an amazing number when you consider the turnover we've had with the 0 to 5 year employees. So I want to give a shout out to the districts on that. So shifting gears to our spring windshield items, we focus on these 5 items coming out of winter. And right now, I would say in March, April, potholes are generally our #1 customer concern. And we've got our first mowing cycle coming up in May, so it's important to get as much of that litter picked up in advance of that as possible. And you know, these activities are important to our customers, they're important to us as well, and we do spend a lot of time and effort on these, as I'll share with you in the next few slides. So starting off with signing, 11% of our signs currently need to be replaced. We're trying to get to 7%, and that would put us on a 15-year cycle, which is about the life of a sign. Last calendar year, we spent $20 million on this in-house, 231,000 in-house labor hours, and that's going to be a reoccurring theme is the labor hours. But in addition to that 20 million in-house, we spent another 15 million in contract sign replacement. So if you add that up, that's 35 million total spent last calendar year on signing. Internally, we're replacing about 40,000 signs per year in-house, which is roughly 6% of our inventory. And so we're working to close that gap to get to our goal of 7%. I will say this, it does take a lot to move the needle when you have 700,000 signs on the system. But we are moving in the right direction. Okay, as I mentioned on potholes, this is typically one of our biggest customer concerns in the spring. We spent another 20 million on this in-house last year, 245,000 labor hours in-house. And you know, on any given day, we've got crews out repairing them. It's just something that requires constant attention. On sweepers, we've got 24 of these statewide, mainly in the urban areas, St. Louis, KC, Springfield. We focus on cleaning the barrier walls, shoulders, and curb and gutters. Total spent there was 5 million if you count the contract sweeping, 40,000 in-house labor hours. Dead animals, they're unsightly and they can be a safety issue, especially in the travelway. So we do prioritize travelway first on removal, followed by shoulders, grassy areas. We spent 2 million on this last year and 26,000 labor hours. Litter is a growing issue in Missouri. Year over year, we're spending more money on this. It's not shown on the chart, but in 2024, we spent $11 million on litter removal. And that's grown to 13 million last year, 154,000 in-house labor hours. But I want you to know we have a multi-pronged approach for addressing litter. First off is communication, and this is key because we need the public's support. We have an externally facing dashboard that shows all the stats there so the public can see it on our website. We've added a video showing the issue there with the trash haulers not being properly tarped, which we know is an issue. We've got news releases that go out on a consistent basis, and you might have noticed we've ramped up our social media posts lately. And this is all to gain the support and help educate the public. We do have our volunteer litter pickup program called Keeping Missouri Beautiful. We have our No More Trash campaign that's underway right now. And the cool thing on that is it includes a school competition for kids. They decorate trash cans. We give them awards K through 12, and we're going to be traveling the state giving out those awards here shortly. We've got our work release program, and this is a big one. You see that chart on the right shows labor hours by work release have dramatically dropped off. We're currently at less than 10% of the labor hours that we had back in 2018. And this is really just due to a reduction in qualified available inmates. We're supportive of any legislation that would hold trash haulers accountable and impose fines on those that litter. Lastly, we're expanding our Sponsor a Highway program. This program initially started in Kansas City and St. Louis. We're going to go statewide with it. And it essentially allows a private entity, business, or group to sponsor a section of highway and pay a contractor to safely pick that trash along their frontage. So overall, litter's not a problem that we can solve by ourselves. We need the help of the public, and that's why we're pushing the communication piece so hard. So I put this chart together just to show you how we're doing on labor hours in 2025 versus the 5-year average. And you can see there in blue, signing and litter were both up. Potholes and sweeping were down slightly. A couple reasons why pothole repair is down. One is just the overall condition of our roads have improved over the last decade. And then we have invested heavily in our automated pothole patchers, which make that process more safe and efficient. This chart does not show one thing, and it's important, and that is homeless camp cleanup, which cost the state an additional $1 million last year. So I updated this chart from the last time I spoke to you, and it shows current information through 2025. So this is the labor hour pool that we draw from to accomplish our work. So you can see we peaked at about 4 million hours in 2020, dropped off to about 3.4 million in 2023. The main reason for that decline was due to the positions we held to pay for the market adjustment and just routine turnover. Good news is since that bottom out there in 23, we've rebounded, and this is due to all the hiring efforts from our HR departments across the state and the support that you all provided and our legislature to allow us to hire additional boots on the ground. So this pie chart shows how much time we're spending on various activities. This is over the past decade. So if you take those three on the right, winter ops, road bridge, mowing, brush, and spraying, that amounts to about 58% of the total. And then the 4 items in blue, which are the windshield items, amount to 23%. I ran the numbers for litter in 2015 versus 2025, and we have a net gain of 35,000 more hours per year on litter. So if you think about this pie chart, it's a zero-sum game. You've only got so many hours in a given year. So if we're spending more time picking trash and cleaning up homeless camps, we're doing a lot less on these other important activities. So bottom line, we spent $37 million last winter on winter ops, another $58 million on windshield items for a grand total of over 1 million hours. And I'm thankful we had a mild winter. I don't know if anyone else was, but it saves us money on salt, fuel, wear and tear on equipment, and most importantly, time, because as I mentioned, if they're not out plowing and treating, they can be spending that time on signing, brush control, potholes, etc. I do want to mention quickly our summer work plans because that's why we're here, is to take care of the system. In calendar year 26, we have $186 million of planned maintenance activities on the books. So that includes all our asphalt repair, bridge work, signing, striping, seal coats, etc. So very busy season ahead for us. And lastly, I want to say a big thank you to our boots on the ground. They get the work done and they interact face-to-face with our customers. With that, I'll open it up for any questions or comments.
Thank you, Chairman. Dan? Yeah.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Darren, thank you very much for the presentation. Really appreciate the employees being able to address some of these windshield issues that we, for quite a while, had not been able to address. And that some of that's by the goodwill of the legislature helping us get more funding so we can hire more employees to address the windshield issues. Signage has been a big issue on me, and I'm glad that we're moving forward on getting that signage. We still
Work to do.
in my mind, the number's a lot higher than 11%, but I'll go with your. I only see the ones that you can't read any longer. So I'm glad and I have seen us do, a lot of improvements there along the way. So I appreciate the emphasis on that. The brush cutting too. Over my way, we've done a lot of brush cutting. Mild winter has helped us with that, and that's glorious. Some people like it, some people don't. I think it's something that we need to do, just to maintain what we should have been doing all along, keeping the brush back and off the right of way so that we can maintain the roadways. And so I'm happy to see us move forward in that direction. Thank you. Thank you, and all the district engineers for making that a priority as well. It's just, the whole team has worked together very well to make Missouri a better place. And then all the litter pickup too. I mean, it's been an issue in the Kansas City area throughout the state. We've given a lot of emphasis in the Kansas City area, but we've improved that a lot too. Need to stay on top of those trash haulers, and need to make sure that we continue to reinforce that message that they need to strap it down and get it to its location, not have it fall off along the way. So, I think we've done that a good job around the state too, and need to have that emphasis there once again. But all in all, thank you.
Yeah, thank you
very much. And it's greatly appreciated. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sure. Other thoughts?
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Well said, Commissioner Hageman. Couldn't agree more. I would just add that it's clear that the work that you do is critically important. It's a safety issue, and it also shapes and defines the experience of the driving public. And everyone loves fun facts. I think we all love a set of fun facts. I know I do. But when I see some of these, sometimes called fun facts, it really defines the perspective. I think sometimes people think, how hard is it to replace that sign? What's the big deal about disposing of a dead deer? Have you ever tried to dispose of a dead deer in the middle of the highway?
Not easy.
Not easy. When you drive along and see a sign, it looks about the size of maybe that screen. It's not. It's enormous. And people don't have the benefit of that perspective of knowing how hard this is to do what you do and to do it so well. And I think whatever we can do as an organization, anecdotally, personally, and in a larger sense, to help shape that perspective of the public. Give them some fun facts, let them repeat them, tell their friends and neighbors, and realize it's not easy, but we're really doing a great job here at MoDOT. We have a lot to be proud of. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Ed, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I think I'm really proud of this team, Becky and Darren's leadership, and we kind of coined the idea of windshield items, and I think I got that. What are you talking about? We can't do that. And we've made it happen, right? And that's not really because of us. That's because of those men and women on the ground every day that have taken the message. You saw a couple of them in the parking lot today. They're still back there in the corner. Those are the folks that make it happen every day. And there's about 3,500 of those every day that go out there on the road and do those things that Darren shared with you. And they're doing that day in, day out. They're mission driven. We're making progress. And I couldn't be more proud of that. And today you've kind of seen the full gamut from program delivery to major project to safety to operations. You kind of got the full meal deal here of what it takes in the balancing act that this team does every day. And it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's a really remarkable progress. I know when I came on 5 years ago, we were struggling. It was before we had the general revenue increase. And today we're just doing so much better on these operational maintenance issues. And they're central to the way the public views us. So all of us want to express our gratitude to the team, fellows back in the back of the room who actually do it. Just know you have our gratitude. If there are no other comments, we'll thank you and your entire team and everyone who makes sure the highways are operationally useful. Appreciate your time.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, well, we've come to the public comment period. Members of the public who have not scheduled presentations before the commission may speak to the commission on transportation-related issues by signing at the registration desk by 9:30 this morning. Any of those who have registered will limit their comments to 5 minutes per person and 10 minutes per topic. Madam Secretary, do we have additional registrants? Okay, I'm going to do them in the order that they came in. In the order they came in, 5 minutes, please. Come forward. Wayne Kitchen from Cambria, Missouri.
Can I give my 5 minutes to work from the same location?
Well, it's 5 minutes per person, but I'll be lenient. Okay. Thank you. Next then would be Reverend Richard Casley. Yeah, Casley, I'm sorry. Thank you. Yeah, please come forward.
Good morning, commissioners. Thank you for your time. Director, board secretary, thank you. Appreciate all what we've heard this morning, digging into the details, what MoDOT does. Big job, big responsibilities. Reminds me of years ago that I heard someone use the word adequate. I don't like that word. That word adequate does not do justice to the things what I've been hearing this morning. I feel the work that is being done, great progress, things that are happening. But I want to bring your attention back again to Buckland Junction up on North Highway 36. Sometimes we feel left out. We just do. No one's at fault, not blaming anyone. But when you live in Lynn County, you realize to the west of us, they've got better roads. To the east of us, they've got better roads. And we started out the 4-lane project years ago in Lynn County. Before my time, some of the local residents decided they needed to have a 4-lane highway. They wanted to start it in Lynn County. And so they proposed to tax themselves to help form this 4-lane project to get started. And they did. That's just before my time. You can ask Wayne about it. Some of the guys knows about it. But I began to wondering about some of the old parts of the highway. When was Highway 36 built? I mean, just the 2-lane highway is built back in about 1954. And so I'm thinking about Buckland Junction, how dangerous it is. And I'll say it is the most dangerous intersection along all eastbound Highway 36 you can imagine. And it's built along that old Highway 36 corridor. It was engineered probably in the late 40s, 1950s when we were still using that highway. What got my attention was talking to one of the bus drivers, and we co-op between Buckland and New Cambria. And one of the bus drivers said, "Oh yeah, the kids said we were co-oping over to New Cambria. We survived Suicide Hill one more day." Buses go through that intersection 3 or 4 times. And so we brought that up to the commission, and they did put lights up there, which brings awareness. Who's the guy who used that word atrocious? I would have used something a lot stronger than that, but I'm a minister and I can't use those words either. But some of the driving patterns are atrocious. What you see on Highway 36 is just amazing. We're still using something that was designed in 1950 for what you might as well call almost an interstate highway system. It's called the Chicago-Kansas City Expressway. Here's a little tongue-in-cheek. I've noticed when you put Roy Blunt's name on something, money just falls in place. Was it in Columbia? They built, was it $165 million for the Roy Blunt Research Institute? Up north in rural Missouri, they're building a reservoir They said they were having trouble with money, so they didn't put the Roy Blunt reservoir money. Can we get Roy Blunt's name put on Highway 36? It's just a serious problem because we're using something that was adequate in the 50s and we're trying to make do with it nowadays. And I'm thinking we can do better. I think there's a process going on. I understand it. Ed kind of looked at me sideways. He's like, what are you doing here? I think we got this solved a bit. I want you to look at this again because he told me J turn lanes. Michael Marriott, we've been talking to him, one of the district engineers, says, give this a good look and see if you can put your support behind it. So I did. Put my prejudices aside. And every time I use that Highway 36 West, I'm looking at, all right, 1,000 yards to the west, they say there'd be a J turn lane. And I keep looking at it, and I look at it, and I look at it constantly because that's my backyard, using it all the time. But then I became aware, well, there's a crossover coming under the viaduct, top of hill. There's a crossover going down to a gravel road. In this short sight distance, we're trying to put a left turn lane into Buckland Junction, a J turn lane going east. Got that in your head? We're all going eastbound, trying to put a J turn lane with people coming home, trying to get into the left lane to turn left into going north into Buckland Junction. I just feel like the sight distance is so short. For example, I was coming into Buckland Junction yesterday and I realized you really are coming up a hill, even a slight grade, before you can see the intersection. You literally top the hill before you can see, even if there's lights flashing, that there's a left turn lane right over the top of the hill. Not on top of the hill, not back of the hill, over the hill. And that's what that hill, that suicide hill, is causing all the problems. So I'm asking that we give this a look again because I'd like to see what we could ask for. I'm going to use some of Wayne's minutes here. What I'm asking for, give it a look again. What we asked for was an eastbound merge lane from the left-hand side of the eastbound highway. Give them time, about 3/8 of a mile, to merge into the highway. Also, when they're coming from the west, going east over the hill, extend that turnoff lane about 3/8 of a mile. Give it a little more time for people to adjust, move to the left lane, get into that left lane where people know, oh, he is really going to turn left. He doesn't have his left turn signal stuck on like he's passing somebody, and 70-mile-an-hour trucks or plus are flying by you. So give it a second look. We've got plenty of time. I think it was on the schedule for 2028. I was talking with Marty about that. That's when it's scheduled to be implemented. Community input. So I'm here just to say, give it a second look for us. See what we can do. J turn lanes have their place. I'm not against that. I'm just saying, perhaps in this instance, give it a second look. I can't even get the highway patrol to come through there because of sight distance. I stopped at Troop B in Macon and said, will you guys start patrolling from Buckland Junction through there? They don't want to get out of their cars with semis flying by them in a limited sight distance either. And so we're trying to do the best we can. I'm what I'm calling jumping through the hoops, doing everything MoDOT has asked us to do to approach the commission. I don't want to insult Marty or Michael Marriott by going over their heads, but sometimes I think I just need to go that second mile, give it another look, and ask you to reconsider. Because I enjoy what I've been hearing this morning from MoDOT. So thank you for your time. Appreciate your patience and listening to me. Have a great day.
Thank you for your public testimony, and we appreciate your being here again today, and welcome you to come testify anytime you feel like you need to. I see Marty's here, so I'm sure you and he have, and probably we'll talk about this some more, but we heard your comment. Okay, thank you. The next registered testimony will come from Jackson Hodling. Jackson? Yes, sir.
Hoteling. Thank you. So good morning, Commission. Great to see you all this morning. My name is Jackson Hoteling. It was a beautiful bicycle ride from Columbia to this meeting. Just wanted to acknowledge without the Katy Trail and MoDOT's partnership on the US 54 highway bridge over the Missouri River, that would not have been possible. So just wanted to say thank you for that. So I'm here representing Missourians for Responsible Transportation. We're a nonprofit that advocates for streets, roads, and trails that work for all Missourians. I previously spoke to the July MHTC meeting to introduce our advocacy for MoDOT to adopt its first statewide active transportation plan. And today I'm here to reiterate that need. I'm also here to thank the MoDOT planning team for releasing the Long Range Transportation Plan, or LRTP, update draft. So the LRTP update RFP charges the assessment of statewide interest and need for a bike ped plan. 46 states have dedicated plans that guide active transportation funding, outline network development, and coordinate proven safety interventions. And we have a comparable plan with the state freight and rail plan for freight modes. So advocacy for a Missouri statewide active transportation plan reached its initial height during Commissioner Slay's first mayoral term. So we're talking early 2000s here, with the release of MoDOT's Bicycle and Pedestrian Commission document called the Missouri Trail Map for Not Motorized Transportation. Unfortunately, this document was not adopted by the commission, and the Bike Ped Commission had since been disbanded. So without appropriate strategies in place, we're concerned that pedestrian fatalities are continuing to rise. Since my visit here last year, we've now eclipsed our 2024 record. So 2025 is the record for most pedestrian fatalities in state history. At the same time, we're facing imminent crises with fuel prices and a potential 85% reduction in state transit funding over a 2-year period. So that's straining already limited transportation options for the third of Missourians that do not drive. So the Missouri Coalition for Roadway Safety and also the LRTP draft are taking some actionable steps to address this, and we do celebrate those efforts. Although a statewide active transportation plan is not explicitly mentioned in the LRTP draft, we do support the expedient implementation of the LRTP short-term goals that advance safety strategies and improve active transportation coordination. Some of the other goals are long-term 10+ year targets, such as a multimodal focus and strengthened transit funding. But 10 years is frankly too long. We're concerned that there will be continued loss of rural public transit agencies in the meantime, and the risk of safety for vulnerable road users unless we act more quickly to devote appropriate, stable resources. So within the LRTP, there's a survey and a series of public comment opportunities. More than 2,200 Missourians surveyed. In the LRTP update highlighted the 3 most important transportation issues that MoDOT should focus on. So it's road and bridge maintenance, the second being access to transportation options, and the third being safety. Well, the lowest priority, according to that survey of 2,200 Missourians, was the delivery of packages and other goods. So focus on people and safety. As follow-up to the commission meeting today, we will share some issue briefs that we've developed over the last few months, highlighting some of our research on statewide active transportation plan best practices. We've also compiled letters of support for this campaign from 112 different organizations across the state. So that includes a majority of MoDOT's MPO and RPC planning partners, as well as from municipalities, social service organizations, business groups, and others. So while the 112 organizations vary in reach and mission, the letters highlight a shared vision for Missouri, for MoDOT to adopt appropriate needs for all road users through planning, funding, and implementation. So I just want to thank you all for your time.
Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So the last registrant we have missed the deadline, but because he's such a loyal and regular testifier, we'll grant him some time. Looks like, Arnie, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
almost called you Mr. Speaker, but sorry.
Please don't.
I'm in a different building, and I had to decide this morning whether to be here, which I think is much more important of what I'm going to talk about with the three subjects, rather than appear in the Economic Development Committee trying to abolish and try to not pass more tax credits, which we just cannot afford here in Missouri. But thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dinoff, State Public Advocate. And I'm here this morning because it's very important of some things that have developed that I'd like to bring to your attention, and hopefully there will be some follow-up. The first thing that I'd like to address is access to the internet, that 10-step process, and probably given a pint of blood and your second-born child before that was hard to log in. I want to say thank you, commissioners, for changing that and making it very streamless, and that you read the information and you agree and you're on. And so my hats off to you and to the IT department for figuring that out in the past month. I really appreciate that. The next issue I want to talk about is litter offenders. And I see offenders littering on our highways constantly, and it's a pet peeve of mine. I would like to be very clear with Superintendent Mike Turner of the Missouri Highway Patrol and Chief of Staff Lieutenant Alex Vivas, and also Trooper, I think Hammond, who is the liaison out in the lobby. I think it's very important that when citizens see somebody committing a crime of throwing bags of trash or debris or littering on our public highways, when I call the troops and I say, hey, I'm a witness, I want to be a complainant, the Missouri Highway Patrol tells me if our troopers don't see it, they can't issue a citation and take enforcement. And I think that that's wrong. Missouri state statute is very clear that I can be the complainant, you can be the complainant. If you see it, you have to go to court and testify. And I'm willing to do that because we need beautiful, good highways. And when I see somebody throwing out bags of trash or throwing out furniture, which I've seen on highways, that makes me mad. And it creates a liability for you as commissioners if somebody hits it and there's an accident. So to the superintendent, when I call the Highway Patrol, I want to have the troopers back me up as a citizen to prosecute these people and enforce our state laws. The next issue I want to talk about is I-70 construction zone. And this morning, unfortunately, I saw a police vehicle, a black Ford Explorer Interceptor with antennas, a push button, and a lights that were hidden from 6:50 a.m. to 7 p.m. on I-70 westbound this morning. Missouri license plate Victor Henry 2, Paul 6 Adam, got off at the Wright City exit. I believe it was a police officer or a commander that was late for work, that was doing an excess of 90 miles per hour in the trunk of the cars in front of him, trying to get them out of their way, was not responding to a call, did not have lights or sirens. And I take exception to that because it's a firm 55 miles per hour in that zone. And I would like the commissioners or the director to follow up on this license plate number. I talked to Lieutenant Vivas over in the Senate hearing this morning. He didn't care to want to follow up. I had said somebody run that license plate, contact that enforcement agency and say that type of conduct will not be condoned by MoDOT, and it could have caused a serious accident this morning. I also saw coming up here a sheriff's department vehicle with license plate L Lincoln Charles Sam 107, a sheriff's department plate, I assume from Lincoln County, unmarked white Ford Explorer Interceptor with a cage, antenna, and side markers on the mirror, but no badge. The badge was on the license plate. He was exceeding the speed limit also and was trying to get somewhere past Kingdom City when I got off going westbound on I-70. And Mr. Chairman, I hope you give me some indulgence as I know the time is short, but this issue I really want to talk about. And it's really going to affect MoDOT to the tune of over $250 to $300 million. I talked to you last month and I asked for a resolution. It did not appear on today's agenda, and I'm kind of, don't take it personal, I'm upset that it didn't get there. And so I have a written resolution that I'd like to read, and hopefully you will adopt it either today or next month. But HB 1977, I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. Senate Bill 1065 by Ben Brown of Washington, Franklin County, Utility Facility Relocation Bill. HB 2429 is requiring municipalities and the Missouri Department of Transportation to reimburse non-regulated utilities for site relocation costs incurred due to road maintenance. And HB 2155, Josh Hollibert, representative from Smithville. These are ludicrous bills that are going to cost us a lot of money over the next 5 years of the STIP or the TIP, whichever you want to look. And I'd like you to consider the following resolution, and please give me indulgence, Mr. Chairman. A resolution expressing opposition to Senate Bill 1065, House Bill 2429, and House Bill 2155, relocating to the reimbursement of non-rate regulated utility providers for facility relocation cost. Whereas the Missouri General Assembly is considering Senate Bill 165 and the House bills, which would require counties, cities, incorporated towns and villages, and the Missouri Department of Transportation to reimburse certain non-rate regulated utility providers for labor costs associated with relocating facilities within public right-of-way due to road maintenance or construction projects. And whereas the Missouri Department of Transportation, local governments have long relied upon established principles governing public rights-of-way, including the expectation that utilities occupying such right-of-way do subject to the obligation to relocate their facilities at their own expense when necessary for public infrastructure improvements. And I want to stop there. They get free rent, free of charge, with no lease or no maintenance obligations to mow that property. And so they're getting it for free, and they're getting it at taxpayers' expense. Whereas Senate Bill 1065, HB 2429, HB 2155 would represent a significant departure from this long-standing framework by shifting financial responsibility from private utility providers to local and state taxpayers. And whereas the imposition of mandatory reimbursement obligations would increase the cost of essential transportation projects, thereby reducing the number and scope of road improvements that local governments can undertake with limited public funds. And whereas Senate Bill 1065 and the House bills would create an unfunded mandate on state and local governments by requiring reimbursement of private utility relocation costs without providing a dedicated and sufficient revenue source to offset these new expenditures. And whereas SB 1065, HB 2429, and HB 2155 requirement that local governments and state government notify utility providers and coordinate relocation schedules within the prescribed timeframes introduces additional administrative burdens that may delay critical infrastructure projects. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the State Transportation Commission of the state of Missouri as follows. Section 1, that the State Transportation Commission hereby formally opposes Senate Bill 1065, HB 2429, and HB 2155, and any similar legislation that shifts the cost of utility relocation from private providers to governments and taxpayers. The chair of the commission and the secretary of the commission would sign and attest with your crimp or your certification. I ask that the St. Charles County Council and that other municipalities in St. Charles County pass this. The St. Charles County did pass it back on March 30th. And I would please ask that you put it either on next month's agenda. If you can't, I don't know if the attorney needs to get involved, but if you can't, I would ask that you approve it today and get it over to the Senate and to the House clerk as soon as possible for distribution. This is a very serious matter. I thought it was a dead issue. Talking to people the last couple of days about it, it's getting legs in the legislature. It might have a possibility of crossing the finish line and going to the governor's desk. It will be an extreme insult and a huge tax burden, financial burden to you as commissioners and to the director and to MoDOT. And guess what? We're going to have to cut probably a great majority of the projects in the 5-year STIP. And
Well,
that's
thank you for
what breaks my
advocating
heart. So
our position on this. If you would please submit the wording of that resolution to the commission secretary for the record.
Okay.
I'd make note that everything in your oral comment today will be transcribed and those details recorded for our later use. We do appreciate your advocacy on behalf of our position. Please know that we have already established our opposition to this bill multiple times, and there's no sponsor of this bill who's unaware of our opposition, as we have all collectively, individually, and through the department expressed our opposition. You're correct that it is a terrible idea, and you can rest assured that the action called for in your resolution, we've been acting on for 2 months or better. So I appreciate that, but do submit it for the record if you would, please. And with that, we appreciate your testimony today. Thank you.
thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we've come to the end of the public comment period, and want to thank those who took the time to come in and testify today. At the end of each meeting, we provide commissioners the opportunity to share any concerns or comments that they may have. And so today, again, I'll start with Anne Marie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What a tremendous grouping of reports today. As the director indicated, the whole 9 yards was covered here. The common theme that I hear about is the commitment to excellence and the delivery of what is promised. And I, again, reiterate the fact that in many of these areas, we have so much to be proud of, and it all goes down to the planning and execution of every MoDOT employee. And that is evident. And I appreciate the opportunity to hear these details, the fun facts, the detail that really tells us how it gets done. How can they deliver these projects so quickly, so efficiently, so effectively? But they do. And it's a culture here, and I couldn't be more proud. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Baker. Commissioner Slay.
Yes, I just kind of want to echo those remarks. I don't think we, as a commission, can really speak too much about, enough about the talent, the professionalism within the MoDOT organization. The tremendous challenges that you undertake, that the traveling public and Missourians generally and people who come through the state take for granted. Really, it's amazing. The work that you all do, and the presentations that were made today were, excellent as well. It did show again not only the importance of the work you're doing, but the credible talent of the organization in general. So I just want to thank all of the MoDOT workers in every category of work, and it's just. And the thing that's really amazing is, well, not amazing necessarily, but understandably, the general public really takes the work that you all do for granted. And that's, by the way, a good thing to some degree, because it shows that you're doing your job. And of course, when there are things that they see that need addressing, then that's when we hear generally from the public. But overall, and it's always because of this, the extent of the system, there's always something that needs to be done. There's always challenges and things that need to be done. So I just want to thank you all for your wonderful work, and the MoDOT workers, and also the all other organizations that work within the MoDOT that work with the MoDOT organization to help make the system safe and reliable for the traveling public. So thank you all.
Thank you, Commissioner Slay. Commissioner Hageman.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a pleasure. I really enjoyed the presentation today. Really appreciate the windshield issues and the maintenance issues, things that we need to do on an ongoing basis to keep the system up and going strong and everything, and to keep the public happy. Appreciate the I-70 report. Eric, thank you very much. It's great to see that moving forward. We're doing a great job. Just keep it up. But I kind of want to emphasize the work zone safety issues, and that's so important, as we move into the active, efforts in the work zone as we get better weather. we just really need, as a society, we need to watch what we do. And I really want to chastise those aggressive and inattentive drivers that go through those work zones at way too fast. Just way too fast and not being attentive and not being considerate of our fellow drivers and the folks working in those work zones, trying to improve the system for all of us. Just kind of comes down to, let's try to be a little bit more considerate for the folks that travel along with us and for our workers. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Hageman. And we'll go to the Dean of the Commission now, Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, Chairman. I just kind of want to echo what the Senator said here on the work zone safety. So important with all these projects that we've got going, 1,000+ work zones, and to try to keep hammering to slow these people down. Appreciate your report, guys. Darren, appreciate your report. It's great. Glad we were down 13 million in snow removal last year. That's great. And I want to thank Greg Boland. We were talking about this yesterday. I think Warren and I were about coming through 49 from Belton, Grandview area. How good it looks, man. You guys, your team has done an amazing job. You know, we're 70 days from the World Cup starting, so you got Kansas City looking good. So we'll be proud. I'm going to start wearing my KC button. But anyway, thank you, Greg. Appreciate it. So with that, I yield that.
Thank you, Commissioner, and we'll end with Vice Chairman Boatright.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Exciting times. We need to continue to think big. We need to continue to execute. And we do those things, my gosh, future's bright. So with that.
Well, let me just end by echoing the gratitude that's been expressed to the MoDOT team. Those of you who are in the room, we are very grateful for that. But I want to thank the private citizens of Missouri who took the time to come here today and provide public testimony. We have a commission form of governance under the Missouri Constitution for MoDOT. It's a blessing, but it relies upon this commission fulfilling its role and duty to listen to the public, consider their comments, and act accordingly. And so I want to take my short time to thank those of you who took the time to be here today. This independent commission works because you take the time to do that. I made note of the comments about the bike policy and appreciate the effort you took to prepare that. And we'll be looking at that when it's transcribed in the minutes. I know that at Buckland, those flashing lights that, while not sufficient, are an improvement, wouldn't be there but for your direct involvement as a citizen. We're grateful. We heard what you said, and we'll be asking some questions about it. Appreciate your taking the time to come up here. And it's always refreshing when Arnie agrees with us on things, and so we're always grateful to hear that. He couldn't be more right about the things he brought up today. Enforcement, whether you're in law enforcement or not, of speed limits in work zones is crucial. The effort to divert money from this agency by telecom companies on the issue he talked about for utility rights of way is a big issue. He's right. And we've been on top of it and are individually and collectively going after it. So I just want to take the final word to say that we appreciate the input from Missourians, particularly those who take the time to travel here and testify. I always invite you to do that. Don't ever feel you worn out your welcome. And next time you have something that we need to be made aware of, I hope you'll come and testify before us, whether we're here or on the road this summer. You're always welcome. So with that, let me just remind everybody that the next meeting will be scheduled for May 6th. It again will be here in Jefferson City. We'll be reaching the end of the legislative session at that time. So I suspect that will dominate the conversation, and we'll be considering the next Amendment 3 bond issue at that time, which is, it will be a big moment for us. So with that, I think we've reached the end of today's meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of adjournment will say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? The ayes have it. We stand adjourned. Thank you.